What's up, family? Welcome back to On the Shoulders of Giants. Joseph Ward here. And Ron DeSantis, Ron Taquarius DeSantis. Is he afraid of Black history, or is some critical thinking going on in the state of Florida? So yesterday, or throughout this past couple of weeks or days, we've been hearing information about an advanced placement African-American history curriculum that is being piloted right now. It's a pilot program for advanced placement African-American history curriculum for high school students to help them gain college credits. And this particular curriculum is designed to make sure that Black students and other students who want to learn African-American history can learn it, because it's an elective course, right? It's still in the pilot program. But Governor Ron DeSantis here in Florida has rejected the curriculum. And there were 6 points within the curriculum. It was 6 parts within the curriculum in section 4 of the curriculum. It was 6 parts that he did not agree with that caused the rejection of the curriculum. Now, I found 4 of the 6. I've been looking all day for all 6, but I found 4 of the 6. So within the curriculum, there is information about the Black Panther Party. There's also information about Black queer studies, intersectionality, and abolishing prisons. And so I am going to give context to all of that. Yeah, topic 4.9 is the Black Power movement and the Black Panther Party, right? So those are 4 of the 6 topics within this African-American history curriculum that I've been able to look through, because I've downloaded the curriculum, and I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get into it, but first I want to go through a couple of articles. I want to read the articles about DeSantis, because I'm going to read all the articles. So I'm gonna read the article about DeSantis, what DeSantis is saying, why he rejected the curriculum. Then I'm going to read the lawsuit, the reasoning for the lawsuit by Benjamin Crump, by attorney Ben Crump. Then I'm gonna share my screen, and we're gonna comb through the curriculum, especially section 4, the part of the curriculum that they claim caused the rejection of the curriculum. All right. So what I want to do also is to make sure that we lay as much information out on the table as possible. We don't make emotional responses. We don't have those emotional responses. We want to stop, think, gather all the information before we make an emotional response. We want to measure 10 times and cut once. So when we cut once, it's a clean cut. All right? That's what we're doing. We're not just going to be reacting. A lot of people reacting. Ron DeSantis is racist. I mean, I'm not saying he ain't. This is by no means me defending Ron Taquarius DeSantis. But what I am doing for us Black people who are critical thinkers, to make sure that we put all the information out on the table so we can make an informed decision. But all you should know how I feel. The bottom line for me is we should be teaching our own history to our own children and our own homes and communities. Right. We should not be expecting white folk to teach our children Black history, and they get mad when they don't want to teach us our history. Neither do you. Neither do you. I find it funny that people who have no interest in teaching their own children their history are so upset that they keep calling racist. Same white people you keep calling racist, same white people that you're always complaining about, you're always talking about, you trust them to teach your children their history. I don't know what to tell you, but let's get into this information. Let's get into it, because I got plenty of time to give my opinion. We should be teaching Black history at home. You've seen my clip. You've seen the short I put out. I put it through all the social media. Black history starts at home. All right. So Ron Taquarius DeSantis defends blocking African-American studies courses in Florida schools. And so this is a PBS article. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis defended his administration's decision to block a course on African-American studies from the state's public schools. He said teaching Black history is required in Florida schools, but the advanced placement course amounted to indoctrination. That is the word he's using, indoctrination. The fight is just the latest in the ongoing identity and culture war in Florida that has become a hallmark in DeSantis' agenda. And so this is a transcript of, I guess, thoughts from Jeff Bennett and Governor DeSantis. So starting off with Jeff Bennett. So Jeff Bennett and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is defending his administration's decision to block a course on African-American studies from the state's public schools. The fight is just the latest in an ongoing culture war in the state that has been a hallmark of the DeSantis agenda. And so both sides are saying agenda. You got one side saying that they're trying to take, their agenda is to take Black history out of school. The other side is they're trying to indoctrinate our children through things like queer studies and intersectionality, things that have nothing to do with African American history, but they want to indoctrinate our children. That's what the sides are saying. They have an agenda. They want to indoctrinate. They have an agenda. They want to indoctrinate. But what are we saying? Nothing, which is crazy. With another 4 years in office came a promise from Florida Republican Governor Ron DeSantis. So Ron DeSantis is saying Florida is where woke goes to die. He lying. There's a whole lot of woke in Florida. He lying like I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. I am in Tallahassee, Florida. 15 minutes away from the governor's mansion. The governor's mansion right around the corner from my job. 15 minutes. I'm in Tallahassee, Florida. Welcome to Tallahassee. Welcome to Florida, right? So yeah, Florida. Woke don't die in Florida, all right? And so this is back to Jeff Bennett. So Jeff Bennett is saying, and just weeks into his second term, the administration has a new target, banning public schools from teaching advanced placement African-American studies, a pilot course by the College Board focused on Black history, arts, science, and culture. The state's Department of Education wrote this month, the course significantly lacks educational value, adding that they would consider a revised curriculum with lawful historically accurate content. And that is true. So to be more accurate, the curriculum wasn't banned. It was rejected because of those 6 points. And 4 of those 6 points are the queer theory, intersectionality, the abolishing prisons portion, and the portion about the Black Panther Party. Those are 4 of the 6 points. I still haven't found the other 2, but those are 4 of the 6 points that cause the rejection of this version of the curriculum. And they're correct. So they're saying revise the curriculum. Fix these 6 things in the curriculum, and we can put it back through the review process to get it approved. But they're saying in its current form, which is the second form that has been rejected, because it was rejected earlier from some points about the Black Panther Party. So I'm not sure about the version that I have, because the version that I have has a portion of it about the Black Panther Party and the queer theory, because a note that I wrote down earlier was the Black Panther Party info was taken out of a previous draft for queer theory, but in the one that I'm looking at, they have information about the Black Panther Party and the queer theory. And they're saying Governor DeSantis rejected both versions, right? And so Jeff Bennett is saying today, Governor DeSantis, that teaching Black history is required in Florida schools, but added this course amounted to indoctrination. So once again, going back to these buzzwords, agenda, indoctrination. Agenda, indoctrination. Pay attention to the buzzwords, because we're trying to control narratives with these buzzwords, but we have to think and listen. Think and listen, right? The course on Black history, and this is Governor DeSantis. This course on Black history, one of the lessons about? That's how I'm reading exactly how he's saying it. All right, let me read that again. This course on Black history, what are one of the lessons about? Queer theory. Now, who would say that an important part of Black history is queer theory? That is somebody pushing an agenda on our kids. And so when you look and see they have stuff about intersectionality, abolishing prisons, that's a political agenda. So going back to what I was saying earlier, part of those 6 points, the queer theory, intersectionality, and abolishing prisons. You can clearly see the three main points. Now, a good question that has to be asked: what does queer theory have to do with Black history or African American history? Why should young Black teenagers, young Black high school students be learning queer theory as part of an African American history curriculum? That's a question that has to be asked. So, putting that out there. We'll come back. Let's keep reading though. So Jeff Bennett is saying the move stems from the so-called Stop Woke Act DeSantis signed into law last year to clamp down on diversity and inclusion efforts by schools and businesses. So DeSantis is saying we believe in education, not indoctrination. And so this is the back and forth between the two, right? So Bennett is saying, and it's just the latest battle, and DeSantis has culture war, taking aim at the teaching of race in schools. Now teachers can talk about gender identity, whether trans kids can play on sports teams, and COVID vaccine requirements. And DeSantis is saying we're not a sanctuary state. But let's go back to what Bennett is saying. And it's just the latest battle, and DeSantis has culture war, taking aim at the teaching of race in schools. How teachers can talk about gender identity, whether trans kids can play on sports teams and COVID vaccine requirements. I'm gonna just be straight up. I don't think teachers should be talking about sex, sexuality, and gender identity in school unless you have a specific certifications, degrees, achievements, specific skill sets. Random English teacher Jenny shouldn't be talking about gender identity and sex and sexuality. Random science teacher, maybe sexuality, maybe sex. Well, not sexuality, but maybe sex, about the biology of sex. But I don't think sexuality, gender identity, and all those things should be taught in school unless it has to be in a prepared environment by a professional, somebody who professionally trained and experienced to do that. You can't just be a teacher. You can't just want to teach what you want to teach. I want to teach about our gender. Can we? Because I mean, if we talking queer theory, can we talk straight theory? So I'm just be real. I don't think that. I do question the queer theory, and I do question the aim at talking about gender identity and things like that, right? From teachers, because come on, man, we've all been to school. Let's call it. We've all been to school, and we know all these teachers, and some of these teachers are not qualified to teach the subjects that they're teaching. And then you're going to put that teacher in charge of teaching something that they're not even an expert at. Something that they're not even qualified at. That's one of my reservations with that. Rather, one of my reservations is you have people who are not qualified to teach specific things. Right? I'm all about education, and I'm all about proper education. Though I'm more about proper education than just willy-nilly being about education. The proper education is making sure the kids, if we're going to teach something like gender identity, who's the expert, the experienced expert that's coming in to be able to teach these specific kids, and can this specific experienced expert relate to these specific kids from these specific cultures? Things have to line up. It can't just be willy-nilly. All right. So, once again, Ron DeSantis is saying we're not a sanctuary state. And so Jeff Bennett is saying he's made an enemy of blue state governors, sending migrants across the country without advance notice. And then DeSantis is saying, or protesters at the DeSantis. So of course they are outside at public events, and protesters who are in support of DeSantis is saying, and this is not my saying, these are the protesters. The protesters are saying, Disney say gay, we won't go away. And so Jeff Bennett is saying, and he's attacked Disney, one of the state's largest employers and marquee businesses. DeSantis is saying, I don't care what big corporations say. Here I stand, I'm not backing down. And the crowd goes wild, right? Bennett is saying, fights on race, school, and identity that have captured DeSantis to the national stage and in 2024 presidential contention. And joining us now is Frederick Ingram. He's the Secretary Treasurer of the American Federation of Teachers and one of the country's largest teachers unions. He's a native Floridian who previously worked as a public school teacher in Florida. Thanks for being with us. And this class, this AP level African-American Studies course, still is in this pilot phase. And we got to remember that it's still in this pilot phase. Was introduced to 60 schools, right? Including at least one school in Florida. But Florida is the only state that rejected the curriculum. When it got to these specific schools, DeSantis is the only one who took a look at the curriculum and rejected the curriculum based off the 6 things that he found that didn't line up, that he said was indoctrination. So take that how you want. Maybe DeSantis being the hater. DeSantis might well be being the hater. We're not going to put that. We're going to put everything on. DeSantis might be racist. DeSantis might be a hater. DeSantis might be a loser. DeSantis might be stupid. I mean, I ain't saying I disagree with none of that stuff. I live in Florida. I don't think DeSantis is the sharpest knife. Matter of fact, I don't think DeSantis is a sharp knife in the drawer. I think DeSantis is the plastic knife that got left in the drawer. But under certain conditions, that knife can cut certain things, right? Just like a broken clock can be right every now and then, right? And so I just believe this broken clock is not all the way off on this. Now, I've been able to look through the curriculum, and I think the curriculum is live. I like the curriculum. Those students are going to learn a lot. But I guess my 2 biggest things would be so far is the queer theory and the abolishing prisons. But I think we're going to get a lot more understanding, a clearer understanding about the abolishing prisons angle that DeSantis is taking. So that's why I want to look at the curriculum, and we'll pull it up and we'll all read it together so we can see that. So, but that's enough of my back and forth between DeSantis and Ingram. Basically, DeSantis, I've given you the crux of what DeSantis is saying. He believes that this is indoctrination. He believes that teaching queer theory, intersectionality, abolishing prisons, teaching about the Black Panther Party, and 2 other points. He believes those are unlawful. They don't help in teaching the children accurate history, and he rejected the curriculum, told them to fix these things. And I was reading an article earlier that they're going to fix these things and resubmit or restructure these topics and resubmit the curriculum to be used. So they're still going to work to use the curriculum, but it's a lot of smoke coming around that DeSantis is like, nah, I don't like it in its current form, right? So that's where we are with that. So yesterday, I come across a YouTube video, and shout out to Roland Martin for the excellent reporting he's been doing on what's going on at VCU and a lot of these HBCUs, uncovering a lot of the filth and the craziness that's going on at these HBCUs. But through Roland Martin's YouTube channel, I saw a press conference, or I believe it was Roland Martin, but I saw a press conference of Attorney Benjamin Crump, and he had 3 teams from here in Florida. Young black man that's in the Omega Lamplighters organization. Shout out to the homie Royal King, founder of the Omega Lamplighters. He out there doing great work. Salute to you, my brother. Salute to you. If you ever in Tallahassee, Florida, look up the brother Royal King. He's doing great work. There's a young man, there's a young black boy, a young white girl, and a young black girl. Those are the 3 students who are a part of the lawsuit, or will be the faces of the lawsuit along with Benjamin Crump, because the plan is to sue Ron DeSantis over the rejection of the curriculum. So let's read more. And this is an article from NPR. So 3 Florida high school students are poised to sue Florida Governor Ron DeSantis after the state education department rejected a new advanced placement course covering African-American studies. The news came one day after the College Board announced it would revise the course, right? By rejecting the African-American History pilot program, Ron DeSantis has clearly demonstrated that he wants to dictate whose history does and doesn't belong. Democratic State Representative Frantrice Driscoll said in a news conference in Tallahassee, announcing the lawsuit on Wednesdays. Well, I'm gonna just deal with this part because I see I'm gonna have to give my opinion as I go. Well, yes, Well, yes, Fentrice Driscoll. Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. It's exactly that would be the exact plan for people who don't want another group of people to rise. Yes, but yet you still put your children in the systems. Yes, that's exactly what people supposed to do. If I see you as a subservient group, I see you as a lower class, I see you as my labor class, I am not obligated to make sure that I empower you. Yes, friend, what's her name again? Driscoll. Representative Driscoll. Yes, that's exactly. Let me read it again. She said, by rejecting the African-American History Pilot Program, Ron DeSantis has clearly demonstrated that he wants to dictate whose history does and doesn't belong. Yes. Now, I am not saying, when I'm saying yes, I'm not saying specifically that's what Ron DeSantis is doing, but I'm not saying that's not what he's doing either. But what I am saying, in the scheme, in the mind of, just in the spirit of oppression and being on top of another group of people, yes, they're going to control whose history is and isn't disseminated. They're going to control how the history is taught. This is what happens when you give them the power to teach you your history. Ben Crump, a high-profile civil rights attorney, said he would file the lawsuit on behalf of the 3 students if DeSantis does not allow the course to be taught in the state. Now, I do want to be fair. From all of the information that I have gathered, I don't see any language or anything hinting to where DeSantis is saying he's not going to allow the curriculum to be taught. But what he is saying is, if these 6 points, queer theory, intersectionality, abolishing prisons, information about the Black Panther Party, and 2 other things I haven't found yet, if those are not tweaked, taken out, or adjusted, then in its current form, it will not be allowed to be taught. But overall, they're not saying that you cannot teach African American history. So I do want to clear that up, because I know that is a narrative that's being spit. And of course. Now let's put our mind. Let's use critical thinking. Of course, if I'm looking at these people as racist and I want to get my point across, of course I'm going to say, hey, they are racist. They don't want me to teach Black history. I'm going to say that because I want to win. I want to push my narrative. Why would I want their narrative to be the dominant narrative? No, I want my narrative to be the dominant narrative. So I'm going to say, yes, Ron DeSantis does not want Black history to be taught. Now, to be fair, because we're information gatherers and we're being fair, DeSantis did not say that. Now, overall, do I believe overall that they do not want African American history to be taught? Yes. Do they want a thorough course on African American history? No. But you keep sending your kids. So if you're gonna keep sending your kids, you got options. You gonna start teaching your child at home, or you gonna stop complaining. Hey, I'm just saying, if your children know more about celebrity lives than they do about Black history, you failed. Us adults are failing these children right now. That's why we're complaining more about other people not teaching our children the history, the same history we refuse to teach our children. We're complaining about somebody else not teaching them. But hey, so this course is the latest addition to the AP program, which helps high school students earn a college credit. And so they're talking about the course because in completing the courses, those high school students will earn college credits because that AP program is preparing the children for college. So this is what it's about. It's about them. This is what the fight is for. Crump said, never, ever forget that. And so I'm not going to lie. That's one of the things that did kind of make me cringe last night when I was watching the press conference. It made me cringe because when I realized that those 3 children were the focus of this lawsuit, I'm like, I get the angle. And I get why you use the children. But I hope You have a good plan in place, good overall plan in place to really leverage what you're trying to do. I hope so, because what I don't want is those children to be, especially the black boy and the little black girl, especially them, because the black boy right now, the young black boy is the most prominent of the three. Like I said, he's the part of the Omega Lamplighter organization here in Tallahassee, Florida. And so he has his Omega Lamplighter sweater on with his initials and everything. And I've seen him in 2 interviews so far. So right now he's the most prominent one. I just don't want him to be used to drug through this. I hope a sound plan is in place. Now, I'm not mad at the lawsuit, because you got to do something. You got to do something more than just complain. You got to do something. But I do believe you got to, if you're going to file the lawsuit, you can't file a lawsuit on one end and still refusing to teach your children their own history on the other hand. Hey, you need to sue your damn self. If you're going to, I'm not mad at the lawsuit. At least it's action. At least it's taking some action and not just doing nothing, right? But on the other end, when are we going to make sure we are teaching our children our history? Can we couple the two? Can we file the lawsuit? Can both be true? Can we be filing the lawsuit and teaching our children their history at the same time? Can we be ensuring in our own communities that we teach our children their history while the lawsuit is being filed? Because if not, and especially if you don't get no traction with this suit, you just got them kids out there just dangling out there, and that's not a good look. So let's continue reading. While dozens of states are introducing legislation that limits how various topics, including race and American history, can be discussed in public schools, these bills are particularly successful in Florida. Under DeSantis, the state has passed the Stop Woke Act, which lets parents sue teachers and school districts over violating limitations the state sets for how race is taught in classrooms, and the Parental Rights and Education Act, also known as the Don't Say Gay Bill, which forbids discussion of sexual orientation and gender identity for certain elementary school students. And I don't have a problem with the Parental Rights and Education Act. I sure don't. And I've explained it earlier. Just because you're a teacher doesn't mean you're qualified to be teaching my children about gender identity because you want to. Nobody gives a damn about your feelings, teacher. Because as a parent, hey, we need to talk about this, because I can guarantee you I have more education, experience, and knowledge that I can teach my children better about sex, sexuality, and gender identity than most you teachers that's so eager to teach. I can guarantee you that. But guess what? All of us black adults should be like that. We should be the ones teaching our children this stuff. We should be the ones eager to teach our children. We should be eager to educate our children, but we not. Following the news of the new African-American Studies AP course, the state's education department swiftly rejected the class. Last week, Florida Education Commissioner Manny Diaz Jr. called the course woke indoctrination masquerading as education. As we've said all along, if College Board decides to revise the course to comply with Florida law, we will come back to the table. So, the College Board will release revised course framework on the first day of Black History Month. So they are revising it now. The College Board announced on Tuesday that it will be revising the course. The organization said it will release the official framework for the course on February 1st, which is noted in the first day of Black History Month. We are glad the College Board has recognized that the originally submitted course curriculum is problematic, and we are encouraged to see the College Board express a willingness to amend, said Alex Lanfranconi, the Florida Department of Education's Communications Director. AP courses are standardized nationwide as a result of Florida's strong stance against identity politics and indoctrination. Students across the country will consequently have access to an historically accurate, unbiased course, Lanfranconi said. When contacted for comment, the College Board did not confirm whether the state's ban of the course is playing a role in its revisions. Before a new AP course is made broadly available, it is piloted in a small number of high schools to gather feedback from high schools and colleges. The College Board said in an announcement, the official course framework incorporates the feedback and identifies what students will encounter on the AP exam for college credit and placement. In a rally announcing the lawsuit, Driscoll commented on a slew of legislation passed in the state under the leadership of the governor that limits how race and other topics are discussed in the classroom. So this is the last part. He wants to say that I do not belong, said Driscoll, who is black. He wants to say that you do not belong, whose history and who history does and doesn't, and yada 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 yada. So that could be the potential lawsuit filed by Benjamin Crump and those 3 students, because from what I saw in the press conference, the students' name will be on it and they will be prominent within the lawsuit. I just hope they got a good plan. Like I said, I ain't mad at the lawsuit. But what I am mad at is I'm mad at that we are more adamant about white people teaching our children than we are about teaching our own children. That's what I'm mad at. We are vehemently dropping the ball. Damn it, black adults, get it together. All right. So, shoot, let's get into this curriculum. Let's see what this curriculum is talking about. Share my screen. Window. Bam. All right. Movements and debates. That's unit 4. So this is the problematic unit within this curriculum. We'll make it big enough for everybody to see. So movements and debates. Weekly instructional focus, anti-colonial movements, and military service. So this is what they'll be learning. But I'm gonna start with this section because this is the problematic section. So we're gonna start with this so we can read everything for ourselves and see what's going on. So topic 4.1, anti-colonial politics and the African diaspora or diaspora. I just said it like that, diaspora. This topic explores the writings of psychiatrist Frantz Fanon, Martitian, because he's from Martinique. I messed that word up, but from Frantz Fanon on the impact of colonialism and racism on black consciousness and the influence of his work on black political movements in the U.S. Hey, Black Skin, White Mask. Those children will enjoy reading Black Skin, White Mask, and Wretched of the Earth. Friends, I mess with Frantz Fanon. I ain't mad at that. I'm excited about that. Ooh, they gonna shoot, they're exploring Frantz Fanon. And for Frantz Fanon's books, it will be some of the books that's gonna be read. You know, my Monday readings, Frantz Fanon's books, they on deck now. So I ain't mad at this. All right. So topic 4.2 is the Negritude movement. This topic explores the literary and political influence of the Negritude movement, including the influences of the Harlem Renaissance and this problem of black cultural pride throughout the diaspora. Students may examine sections of text by Amy Cesar. And I wrote about Amy Cesar and my fourth book on the Shoulders of Giants, Volume 4, The Caribbean. I'm excited about this curriculum already in this section. I ain't gonna lie. Now, I will say this. Overall, I like the curriculum, but I do raising my eyebrow on this queer theory. And we're gonna explore the abolishing prisons thing, but I am raising my eyebrow on this queer theory. I ain't gonna lie. So we want to make sure that this is not something where they're trying to slip some bull. You know what I'm talking about? Like the whole like you got a real good curriculum, a curriculum where they're gonna learn a lot, but then you're trying to slip some bull in there. We're just trying to make sure that ain't happening, right? But at the end of the day, if they are, we should be teaching our own children at home anyways. African Americans in the U.S. occupation of Haiti, topic 4.3. This topic explores the impact of the U.S. occupation of Haiti on black political discourse in the U.S. Students may explore how the occupation influenced ideas about transnational black identity and American values throughout an expert from the writings of James Weldon Johnson. Some more five. Topic 4.4. Black military service and the GI Bill. This topic explores black military service and the differential benefits of the GI Bill for white and black veterans. Students may examine historical photographs and selections from a scholarly text. I ain't mad at it. All right. So weekly instructional focus, the long civil rights movement. So let's see what this is talking about. So 4.5, segregation, discrimination, and the origins of the civil rights movement. This topic explores the impact of Jim Crow era segregation and discrimination in the areas of housing and education. It also foregrounds the grassroots organization and the foundation of the civil rights movement. Students may examine primary sources such as maps, newspaper articles, or selections from landmark cases, including Brown v. Board of Education, Topeka. Yeah, I messed that up, but Education of Topeka, you get it. So topic 4.6, the Big Four, NAACP, SCLC, SNCC, and CORE. This topic explores unique facets of the major organizations, ideas, and events of the civil rights movement, with special emphasis on the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, and the Congress for Racial Equity. Students may examine historical photographs and primary source text or a selection of scholarly text. All right. 4.7 is civil rights leaders. This topic explores distinctions between major political leaders of the civil rights era. Students may examine speeches, a primary source text, and photographs of leaders such as Fannie Lou Hamer, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X. Still fine. Faith and the sounds of the civil rights movement. This topic explores the impact of faith, religious organizations, and music on Black advocacy and civil rights. For civil rights, it focuses on African Americans' use of music for empowerment and to express versions for a better future. Students may examine lyrics, performances, or a selection from a scholarly text on the freedom songs of the civil rights movement. Now, my thought with that is, if you're just teaching them plainly about, hey, you can use music to help affect change. How much power have we really gained through music and entertainment? Right? See, music works. Music can empower, or music can motivate. We've been motivated. I think we're stretching it to say we've been empowered by music. I would say we've been motivated by music, but we haven't been empowered by music. Because if we've been really empowered by our music, and like, what kind of music have we really been listening to within the last 30 years that's really been empowering, right? But if our music was really empowering, we would have better outcomes. We would be more productive. So I would say our music is more motivating than empowering. Even though I understand why they use that word, but just being real, if they're really teaching how to use the music, really teaching how to use the advocacy, really teaching how to use, not just to go clamor and yell and scream and march and stuff and just say, hey, it made me feel good. Because that's why I say it's motivation, because at the end of the day, for the most part, the music ain't really doing nothing but making us feel good. But it's not really spurring us to take proper action to make proper change. So I'm going to say that. Some may disagree, but hey, we don't have to agree on everything, right? Weekly instructional focus: Black power, Black arts, Black pride, and the birth of Black studies, right? The Black Power movement and the Black Panther Party. So this is one of the sections that DeSantis, like, nah, bro, y'all can't rock with this. So this one of DeSantis sections. So this topic introduces the political shift of the Black Power movement through the lens of the Black Panther Party. Students may examine photographs and text featuring leaders such as Huey P. Newton and Bobby Steele. Of course, you already know I ain't got no problem with this. They need to thoroughly examine the Black Panther Party. Thoroughly examine the Black Panther Party so they can really understand the ideologies behind what they did. So they can really have a great full understanding of what the Black Panthers did. Right? So therefore, we're not just going along with narratives anymore. So far, I curriculum, I see you. Topic 410 is the Black Arts Movement. This topic explores the influence of the Black Power movement and the emergence of the Black Arts movement, artists, activists, and intellectuals in the 1960s and 70s. Students may examine various forms of visual art and an example of the writings of Amiri Baraka. Some more five. The Black is Beautiful movement. This topic explores how the movement to express pride in aesthetic and cultural elements of Black heritage became an instrument of Black joy and liberation. Students may examine excerpts from the articles in Ebony magazine or Elizabeth Khalid's piece, Negro es Bello. Nigga, that's bellow. Probably said that wrong, but student protests and the birth of Black studies, right? This topic explores the birth of the field of Black studies from student-led protests and the political and cultural movements of the late 1960s and 1970s. Students may examine a primary or secondary source on the founding of Black studies departments across the nations, including writers like June, Jordan, and Fabio Rojas. And you have to start with William Leo Hansberry. Have a book about him written by Kaba Kamene. Oh, shoot. Dropping stuff back here. So if you're going to talk about Black studies programs and things like that, William Leo Hansberry, you have to study William Leo Hansberry. And we're talking about the birth of Black studies. You know what I'm talking about? So, add William Leo Hansberry to your text, people. We're talking about the birth of Black studies. All right. So let's move forward. So, weekly instructional focus: the Black feminist movement, woke womanism, and intersectionality. This is when things start to get interesting. So, Black feminist movement and womanism. This topic explores the Black feminist movement, the concept of womanism, and approaches that center on the unique everyday experiences of Black women. Students may analyze a text such as Combahee River collective statement or an excerpt from writers such as Kiana Yamahata Taylor, Alice Walker, or Audre Lorde. So, I hope they've thoroughly examined how feminism did not help Black women. You can put Black in front of feminism all you want. Black women joined the movement they shouldn't join. So if you're not teaching that, then you kind of tripping. Ain't no kind of, you tripping. Feminism did not help Black women. Black women overall did not have the same issues as white women. They didn't. As Black women assimilate, as Black people, period, as Black people assimilated more into white culture, we started adopting white behavior patterns, and then we started having white issues. But before then, Black women had no need to join the feminist movement. So I hope they tell the truth. If they don't tell the truth, they trip. But overall, I ain't tripping. Because remember, it's supposed to be about critical thinking, getting people to gather the information and come up with their own conclusion. Shouldn't be teaching people what to think, should be teaching them how to think, right? So 4.14, African-American women's history and the meta language of race. This topic explores scholarship on the intersections of analysis of race, power, and Black women's experiences in a text by Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham. Intersectionality and activism. This topic examines intersectionality as an analytical framework and is connected to Chicana and Asian American feminist thought. Students may explore texts from the writings of Kimberly Crenshaw, Patricia Hill Collins, or Angela Davis. I don't really have a problem or say or whatever care that much about this section. I mean, intersectionality. Just be alive. You know what I'm saying? Black feminist literary thought. This topic explores the literary contributions of Black feminists and womanist writers. Students may examine a literary text from authors such as Toni Morrison, Gloria Naylor, Bell Hooks, and Nikki Giovanni. Once again, are we fully studying this? What were the overall outcomes of feminism or Black feminism for Black people? Look at the outcomes that we've had this 2023, and Black people can't get along. Black families are damn near gone. So I hope they're taking a deep dive on that. I hope they're just not surface level. I hope they're taking a deep dive and really analyzing, did feminism help Black people really? All right. So weekly, so that's another part, the intersectionality is another of DeSantis's parts that he don't like. So now we're on 4.17, the Black intellectual tradition. This topic explores the development of a Black intellectual tradition before and after slavery and the foundations of Black studies. Students may examine a text by Manning Marble and Darlene Clark Hines. Yep. And so Black intellectual tradition, we do have a Black intellectual tradition. We do. One of my critiques of the Black intellectual tradition is there's no action from the intellect. So how intellectual are you if you can't take action on the information that you have? Now, do we have an intellectual class that was created? Yes, we have an intellectual class that was created, but that intellectual class didn't build anything. So in teaching this, I teach these students how to use this information. You can't just be smart. You can't just say, I have the information, I'm smart. If you can't use the information, your ass ain't smart. So 4.18, movements and methods in Black studies. This topic explores how Black social and political movements shape Black studies and the impact of institutionalization in universities on the field. Students may examine a text by Sylvia Winter. So I don't really have too much issues with that. So here go another one. Black queer studies. Black queer studies. Why is, and this is topic 4.19 in the AP African-American History curriculum. What does queer Black studies, or just queer studies period, what does that have to do with being Black? And why does that have to be singled out? Can we do straight Black studies? Can we do all type of Black studies? I mean, what's the purpose of queer Black studies? This topic explores the concept of the queer color critique, grounded in Black feminism and intersectionality as a Black studies lens that shifts sexuality studies toward racial analysis. Students may examine texts by writers such as Kathy Cohen, Roderick Fredrickson, and H. Patrick Johnson. Look, we wouldn't be so upset if we was teaching. All this wouldn't be a big issue if we was teaching our own children their own history. We wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't even be. If DeSantis be like, I don't want this, we'd be like, so? We teaching our own children our own history. We don't care about what you think, fool. But we're not. So here we are, screaming and clamoring and crying again. But guess what? Guess what them folk not gonna do? Teach their own children. So Afrocentricity in Black studies. This topic explores the lens of Afrocentricity in Black studies and its influence on Black cultural practices. Students may examine a text by writers such as Molefi, Kete, or Asante. Not mad at that. I ain't mad at that. I ain't mad at that at all. All right. So weekly instructional focus, diversity within Black communities. So 4.21, demographic diversity in African-American communities. This topic explores the diverse experiences and identities of Black communities in the U.S. in areas such as nationality, ethnicity, religion, class, language, or education, with specific attention to the last 20 years. Students may analyze a data set from the Pew Research Center's report on African Americans. You learn, but all Black people aren't the same. I mean, there's diversity within the African-American community. There's diversity within every community. We're not specific to diversity, but I mean, I don't have a problem with that. So, post-racial racism and colorblindness. This topic explores concepts such as post-racialism, colorblindness, racecraft, or inequality through a scholarly text by authors such as Eduardo Bonilla, Silva, and Barbara J. Fields. If you choose to focus on that stuff, I mean, go ahead. I don't care. Politics and class in African-American communities. This topic explores the diversity of political and economic affiliations among African-Americans and the range of perspectives held on various political issues. Students may examine a selection of scholarly articles or a data set from the Pew Research Center's report on African-Americans. 4.24, religion and faith in Black communities. This topic explores Black liberation theology and connects to contemporary debates on the role of religious activism as a tool for overcoming anti-Black racism and oppression. Students may analyze a text from scholars such as James Cone and Jacqueline Grant. Weekly Black Lives Today. So this would be the focus for that, Black Lives Today. Medicine, technology, and the environment. This topic explores the impact of the intersections of race, medicine, technology, and the environment on the lives of African Americans. Students may examine inequalities and opportunities for change in these areas. Hey, we can make that simple. Hey, environmental racism is real. Black people have the worst quality environments. Environmental racism is real, right? Environmental self-hate is real as well. Environmental self-hate is because hey, when you go to certain communities, nobody's making these people trash up their own communities. But at the same time, Black people are victims of environmental racism in various places around the world. Think about Jackson, Mississippi right now, where they have a water issue. Think about the Flint water crisis there, and the What the Health documentary we were talking about that place in that county in North Carolina where the people are subjected to smelling feces and having feces flung throughout the air. Environmental racism is real. So what we gonna do about it? Don't just teach the children that it exists. Teach them to be able to take action and do something about it. Incarceration and abolition. So this is the other part of what DeSantis had, what raised his hair about this curriculum, the abolition of the prisons part. That's how it was presented. So this topic explores the long history of Black incarceration from the 13th Amendment to the present and the influence of the 19th century policies on the prison industrial complex. Students may examine the relationship between carceral studies and abolition movements in the work of a scholar such as Michelle Alexander. Now, I wanted to read that and I want to get to this because it's being framed that the way I was receiving the messages, it was framed for me is they're going to teach the children to abolish the prisons. They're trying to teach the children to abolish the prison system. So students may examine the relationship between carceral studies and abolition movements. So from when I'm reading that, the relationship between carceral studies and abolition movements, we know when you fight for your freedom, you go to jail. So if that's the framework that's been taught, that hey, when people fight for their freedom, this is what happens to them. Now, you got to be careful how you teach that too. You got to be careful how you teach that so you won't teach fear and trepidation. So you got to be careful how you teach that. All right. But overall, in the context of the students may examine the relationship between carceral studies and abolition movements, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think DeSantis, some of these things on this, DeSantis is tripping on outside the queer theory. DeSantis is tripping on that, in my opinion. In my opinion. But overall, if you still trying to slip something in there, you know, I would say take the queer theory thing out, but you know. The evolution of African-American music. The topic explores the evolution of the African-American music as an influence on broader African-American musical production. Students may examine performances and scholarship in ethnomusicology from writers such as Portia Maltby and Amiri Baraka. Black vernacular pop culture and cultural appropriation. This topic explores the concept of cultural appropriation and the influence of African-American communities on popular culture and American vernacular. Students may examine a scholarly text or an analysis of social networks such as Black Twitter. New directions in African-American studies. Movements for Black lives. This topic explores the origins, missions, and global influence of the Black Lives Matter movement and the movement for Black lives. Students may examine a primary source text, photographs, and secondary text from scholars such as Kenyatta Yamada Taylor and Leslie K. Jones. I know I butchered that name. The reparations movement. This topic explores the case for reparations for the centuries-long enslavement and legal discrimination of African Americans in the U.S. Students may examine House Bill H.R. 40 by text by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And I think, yes, this is another point that DeSantis was against the reparations movement. Let me write that down. So that was the other point. The fifth point is the reparations movement. If you put it in proper context, I don't have a problem. Do I think the white folk gonna give us reparations? Nope. You know me. If you want it, you got to take it. Black study and Black struggle in the 21st century. This topic explores reflections on the evolution of Black studies in the field of salience in the present through a text by scholars such as Robin D.G. Kelly. Black futures and Afrofuturism. This topic explores cultural aesthetics and practices of Afrofuturism. I ain't gonna lie, I still don't really know what Afrofuturism is. I have an idea, but students may examine a scholarly or literary text or film, such as an example from the writings of Octavia Butler, Tiffany E. Barber in the film The Black Panther. So I just went through section 4, the problematic section in this curriculum that caused it to be rejected. So queer theory, intersectionality, abolishing prisons, the reparations movement, the Black Panther Party, and there's another one that I don't know of, but these 5 are the main ones. Not so the only one, like I say, the only one, I'm gonna stop sharing this. I'll put a link to this curriculum in the bio, so you all can click on, check this curriculum out for yourself. No time, I ain't gonna be able to go through the whole thing tonight because time, but I will. I have the link for the curriculum in the bio. So, like I said, the only one that's raising the eyebrow for me is the queer theory. It's the only section of that really raises an eyebrow for me. If the abolishing prisons, or the incarceration of people through abolition movements, if it's through that, then I don't have a problem with that. If you're talking about just abolishing prisons, I don't think we should teach a generation of children to abolish prisons, especially when crime is so rampant. Abolishing police and abolishing prisons in a time in the country, in the space where crime really runs stuff, that ain't the smartest. Especially most of y'all ain't got no guns. Most of y'all are willing to give up y'all guns and abolish police and get rid of prisons. That's crazy. You are a target. They gonna get you first. But overall, I don't have a problem with the curriculum. I mean, I don't have a problem overall with the curriculum. My issue is that we are trying to force a group of people who we know don't have our best interests to teach our children in their best interest. That's crazy to me. Black people are insane. We continue to do the same things over and over and over, and we expect different results. We expect white people to get it right. We expect that if we appeal to their moral senses, just this good this time, then maybe they'll do something different. Maybe they'll change. Nope. It's not. They shouldn't give a damn. They don't have to give a damn. We have to give a damn. It's on us. They're our children. We should be teaching them. Your children should not go to school not knowing aspects of their own history. They shouldn't. You can tell me you don't have no time. You can tell me all these things. I'm not saying everybody got the same situation, but for a lot of us just not making the time. How about put your phone down, stop scrolling in your phone. Don't play video games. Don't go shopping. Don't go hang out with your friends. Don't do some of your leisure stuff and spend time teaching your children African history. Hey, on the Shoulders of Giants, we exist every Wednesday. Every Wednesday on this channel, I put out a video profiling a sung or unsung hero from the African diaspora. It is my mission. That is the staple of my channel. That's the foundation of my channel. I would never stop making those videos. I would never stop making those videos to where I am profiling a sung or unsung hero from the African diaspora. I never stop. I have Black history on this channel. That's the purpose of On the Shoulders of Giants, to expose our children to their own history. So guess what? I'm part of the solution. If you mad that these white folk don't want to teach your kids Black history all in their schools, all in their classroom, come to On the Shoulders of Giants. You ain't got to worry about us not teaching your children the right history. You ain't got to worry about us cheating your Black children out of Black history. Subscribe to this channel. You want to make sure your children learn Black history? Subscribe to this channel. Share this video. Tell other people about this video. Like this video. Share this channel. That's what I do. That's what I do. Provide the history. A digital version of J.A. Rogers. The digital version of J.A. Rogers. Straight up. Digital version of J.A. Rogers. The new school, right now, modern day version of J.A. Rogers. On the shoulders of giants, we are teaching our history. So, hey, all you gotta do, come to the website, you gotta do, come to the YouTube channel and read the information to your children. Show them the information. Make sure your child knows their history. Stop putting your children's education in the hands of people who don't give a damn about you or your children. That's all I want to say about that. Hey, Ron DeSantis. You tripping a bit, but not all the way. You tripping a bit, but not all the way. And I say not all the way because like I say, my eyebrows raised by this queer theory part. But everything else, I really don't have an issue with. I really don't. And that's just me. My biggest issue is black folk still dependent upon white people to teach their own history. Hey, Josep Ward, www.ontheshoulders1.com. Remember, I am doing Patreon exclusives videos on my Patreon page. So if you want to have access to those lives that I'm doing on Patreon, patreon.com/OTSOG, you can catch me live. Catch me live on Patreon. And I may eventually do it here on YouTube too. But starting off, giving my patrons some love since they took the extra step to show me some love. But if you want that love now, come on, join the Patreon family. Come on and join the family. Hey, but you know I do love y'all, and I love the support that you give me right here on this channel. So let's keep helping me grow this channel. Let's get as many views as possible on these videos. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Share. We need this. We need to run these views up. All this history that we got on this channel, we need to run these views up. This is the year of On the Shoulders of Giants. This is the year that my channel explodes. I've been putting the work in. We've been putting the work in. We got this history here. We not gonna complain about nobody teaching us our history no more. Because damn it, you got a source right here on the shoulders of giants. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's show us. Let's prove to ourselves that we really love ourselves. Out of here. Peace out. Peace out. Peace out.